Hello YouTube, Marielle Laris here, and today I would like to talk about some potential early signs that could potentially be red flags, and some of us might miss or rationalize or dismiss not much. Um, I'm certainly now I'm a believer in what people say sometimes. When people show you who they are, believe them. When people tell you who they are, believe them. And when that gut feeling instinct kicks in, pay attention to it. When you see something doesn't quite make sense, or you experience that feeling that what you see doesn't match, what your brain or what you perceive of the person, um, it is a red flag. Run. Something I didn't do, something I did not quite, I could not understand at the time. I did not have the wisdom or the knowledge to see what those signs were for what they were. But first, before I go into my own experience, I would like to take you back to a scene for those of you who, like me, maybe enjoyed watching Sex in the Cities. Sex in the City. I remember there was a scene where you see Miranda during early dating stages, where she meets that lawyer, and basically she tries to date that lawyer, and he keeps being rude to the staff, different to the staff, different. They go to different places, whether they go to a coffee shop, whether they go to a bar, whether they went to a restaurant. He was just rude to the staff, to the point where she became really nervous and was always trying to make excuses for him or cover what he was saying, and apologize to the staff on his behalf. And eventually she had enough, and then she dumped him. And there's another situation that comes to mind. At the very beginning, when well, this is actually with Keeping Up with the Kardashians, the early on in the relationship between, whether it was early, I can't even remember, but it was Kourtney Kardashian and and her boyfriend, Scott Disick. And you see him, I think they were in a restaurant or somewhere in Las Vegas, and I'm not too sure, don't quote me on that, but he takes money and shoves it in the mouth of the waiter. This was really, really, to me, distressing scene to watch, and extremely degrading. I put myself in that person's shoe. It's just horrendous, really. And thirdly, I would like to say that yeah, now I have become aware of people saying that stay away from people who have a tendency to bully people that are under them or that serves them, and stay away from people who bully waiters, because eventually they will bully you too. And yes, yeah, I am now a firm believer in that, and I wish I was aware of those quotes, or that way of thinking. Well, but I suppose it's better late than not at all. But here are the early signs that I overlooked early in my relationship with my husband. First, let me set this up. Where I come from, people go to the beach, and females, some, they can go bare-breasted if they want to, and there's no stigma. It's not a big deal. And I remember there was the mother of a friend of mine who actually came with us at the beach, and she took her top off. And mind you, that woman was about probably in her 50s at the time. And my husband proceeded to just laugh at her and really just being downright nasty. And that kind of shock, it did something to me, and I thought that was a bit unfair what he did. So I just gently just kind of reminded him that he had a mother, and I did ask him nicely, because he just went on and on and on, and I said, well, tell me, is your mother does your mother has perky breasts? I'm sure she's not that much older than this woman, and she's had babies. I mean, you here, and you breastfed as well, I'm sure, and your siblings as well. And this woman had like six. She's had like 6 daughters, and she looked great actually for her age. And so I just tried gently to just remind my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, that what he was saying was a little bit uncalled for. And his reaction was defensive, and he came across as he was extremely offended that I mentioned his mother. How dare I mention his mother? And again, I just could not get him to see that he did not question his own behavior. He didn't seem to take a step back and process what I was trying to say, or just even feel bad in any way about what he did, because that's a situation that was something that he created. I mean, he was being extremely rude to that woman behind her back. And to a certain extent, maybe even now thinking about it, maybe even wanted me to participate in that, and I didn't. And but then again, this is a pattern that has been repetitive in our relationship, where he never takes the time to look at what he does or what he thinks or what he says. And if I mention something there, it's my fault or it's my responsibility, or there you go. And another thing I did notice as well with my husband when we were first dating, and girlfriend, boyfriend, and then fiancé, and those early years, that first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and that I saw happening quite a lot, is that every single time we went with these friends out in restaurants, and I say they because that was all of them, they were very, very rude to the staff, very abusive. And those were young guys that came from very good homes. They were educated and making good money and had good manners and all of that, and yet they were behaving appallingly. And sometimes I would feel they will even be using the excuse of the alcohol to be offensive to the staff. And but as far as my husband was concerned, or me observing him, oh yes, of course he would participate, but at the same time, because all of them were doing that, I would find myself in the middle of that, observing them and questioning myself whether why they were doing that, or whether I was just making too much of a big deal out of nothing. But now I know better. But back then I didn't know how to process that. And him being kind and nice to me certainly caused me to rationalize his behavior, because I couldn't come to terms with what he was doing. It wasn't sitting right with me, but I did not know enough of myself and or how to process what was happening at the time. Because also another thing is that whenever there was just the two of us, he never did that, you know. Over the years I've seen him, I've noticed that he would dislike people. He'll voice his dislike of people, people he didn't know, people he hardly met, and he'll be quite out there with he very expressive of his dislike of those people. But whenever I would ask him, I mean, why do you dislike them, or what have they done, or he never could back it up. He could never come up with a clear explanation to why he disliked those people. That again is something that I did find very strange. Why would he constantly feel so strongly about people he just didn't know? Now I know enough to with his behavior to know that there's somebody that he is the kind of person, he's just never really happy, and he has a tendency to just dislike people and complain about things, and it's a pattern. Now I know it's a pattern, but back then I didn't know what to think about that. Here's another possible red flag about my husband. I've been with my husband now for 24 years, and I've never seen that man stop and give money to people on the street. No matter which country we've been, no matter where we've been, no matter the situation, or even if it's kids on the street. I've never seen my husband take money out of his pocket and give it to anyone, no matter what. And yet his wallet is always full with cash, always. And those were incidents that were disturbing to me, because they did not fit my mental construct of him. He was kind and generous to me, you see. So that was the beginning of me experiencing the break between my mind and my heart, between what I saw and what my mind conjured up in an effort to rationalize the behavior. There's always been that break, you know, what I see what I see, but then it just doesn't make sense. Or it was the beginning of all of this craziness, really, and never being able to really make sense of him, no matter what. And although he was never as aggressive as Miranda's boyfriend or Kourtney Kardashian's boyfriend, now I do know that those are red flags, you know, to pay attention to when you go into a relationship, you know. And I really wish at the time I knew, and I wish I could go back and run. I really do. Well, that's it for today. Thank you.